Isn't this incredible?
It is. Wow.
I mean, this is a former light bulb factory for Westinghouse that they are trying to, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? I think we picked a good Cleveland spot for this. So
amazing.
It's incredible here. I mean, it's just wild. There's a rest in peace Jerry Springer on here. There's like Bart Simpson. Uh-oh, we got someone pulling up here. Okay, let's let them go. Uh-oh, is that a cop? Is that a cop?
You two look totally harmless.
Well, we might have to handle this situation. Let's go out there and handle this, right, Charles?
Keep recording.
He's eyeing something on the car. Hi there, how are you? Are we allowed to park there? We were here with Brad Whitehead, the owner of the facility, and we are guests of his, and we're journalists actually from Seattle that have been covering the Cleveland community, and we're recording our podcast from this facility. So, thank you for your service. All right. Thanks, guys. Yep. Bye-bye.
John, you're going to be on the Cleveland crime cams.
Hopefully you got some of that audio.
Yes, I did.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's our first interaction with Cleveland Police Department. Hey, they're doing their jobs. They're checking out some suspicious activity here. So,
welcome to the GeekWire Podcast. I'm GeekWire co-founder Todd Bishop in Seattle. My co-founder and co-host John Cook is not in his usual spot this week. He's in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places, and he's brought a guest along, Seattle tech veteran and angel investor Charles Fitzgerald. We're going to explain what they're doing in an abandoned facility in Cleveland. But first, Charles and John, it's great to have you on.
Thanks, Todd. I thought you were going to do your Hello Cleveland line.
Oh,
Charles.
yeah. Hello from Cleveland.
Hello from Cleveland. Yes, we are currently located at a former Westinghouse light bulb factory, which, just to give folks a scene, I'm going to switch my camera here to give you a sense of the industrial, some might say wasteland that we are amongst. This employed hundreds of people back in the day, and this is a brownfield site that is now under redevelopment. Obviously, they're a couple years away from it. But this is the Rust Belt. This is Cleveland. This is a part of, a part of society, a part of economic history that people in Seattle don't really get a view into as much. And we're excited to tell you why we're standing here and what we've learned over the last few days of being in Cleveland.
And it's worth pointing out, this is just one facility. This was the kind of the heart of the industrial district. So there are hundreds of acres with cool old buildings like this that show that old industrial legacy.
Well, for people who have not followed this story, back in February, Charles wrote a guest column for GeekWire with a blunt warning. And in fact, it's appropriate that the two of you are there because Charles wrote the column and then John got you in hot water with the headline.
Yeah.
Because the headline was don't let Seattle become the next Cleveland.
And we think about, I don't know, there are 300,000 residents roughly in Cleveland, and we think about 290,000 of those people have read the piece based on the feedback we've been receiving
we've
from
learned it's being taught in the university.
That was one thing. Charles just told me that today, that he got sidetracked with a Case Western reserve, with a Case Western professor, entrepreneurship and business professor, who took Charles' column and presented it to their class, and they divided into teams. One was pro Seattle, one was pro Cleveland, and they debated the piece and which city had more merits, which had more promise, and then they did a vote at the end. Todd, who do you think won?
Cleveland.
Seattle or Cleveland?
Cleveland.
Wrong. Seattle won.
On what basis, though, that it had the most promise for the future?
We didn't get the actual ballot language, so it's hard to know. But
It certainly has the two crankiest journalists from Seattle. They would have won that way. Investor
Well,
and journalist. Yes.
I'm proud to say nobody has thrown anything at us yet. Anyway,
we did this in our interview with Brad Whitehead, who is the owner of this facility that we're saying. He subtly gave us the middle finger based on the column in a joking manner, but that's all we've gotten.
But the message of Charles's piece was, hey, Seattle, don't take it for granted. There are other parts of the country, places in this world that once saw the success that our home has, and it does not mean that it's going to be forever. Cleveland's mayor, Justin Bibb, wrote back. He called his city a comeback story. He invited the two of you, or at least Charles, to come see it for yourselves. And then, John, since you actually grew up not far from Cleveland, in a small town called Worcester, Ohio, you tagged along for the ride. So you've been there for the past few days. So catch me up. We haven't talked at all. What have you been doing and what have you learned?
Oh, we've been doing a lot. We've had a packed agenda, and we should give a shout out to the Destination Cleveland folks who have put a great itinerary together for us. And we've just been meeting entrepreneurs, business leaders, civic leaders. We've met the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine.
You're kidding.
No, we've interviewed him. We were in, Todd, you would have been proud of me. I was in a press scrum. I think it was Charles's first. And so you got to see me in action in the press scrum with me asking the question, which is one of the questions we've been asking everybody we run into, whether they're an entrepreneur, professors, politicians. We've been asking folks, what advice would you give to Seattle based on everything that's happened in Cleveland? Cleveland's history is economic history. And boy, the responses have just been so illuminating and interesting.
To me, the contrasts with Seattle are maybe the most interesting. There's some very stark contrasts. Number one, everybody here is hustling. So back to that point about prosperity is not a given. It can fall off. I mean, the people of Cleveland are still digging out from when the Rust Belt started to rust, 50, 60 years ago. And so there is just everybody hustle. And they're focused on jobs. They're focused on economic growth. They're focused on just getting stuff done. And that is a notable contrast with Seattle. Second thing is leadership. So, we saw the governor. We went to the Guardians game with the local county executive, who for Seattle viewers has an uncanny resemblance to Steve Ballmer, both physically and vocally. So I did coach him up a little on what the right set of hand gestures to do if he wants to make a living as a Steve Ballmer impersonator.
Charles showed him the monkey boy dance.
And we spent some time with the mayor, and the mayor is super impressive. And the contrast there, the leadership, here's a guy who can actually carry on a conversation and his handlers won't rush him away. But he's a very, very impressive leader. So that was another area where the contrast with Seattle, we keep joking, we've spent way more time with the mayor of Cleveland in the Seattle tech community than we have with the mayor of Seattle. So,
yeah, he's charismatic, he's young, he's in his late 30s, he's pro-economy, pro-business, and as we've argued in some of our columns in the past, he's Cleveland's biggest cheerleader and hustler. I mean, he is hustling. That is a great point that Charles makes. People are hustling here. You need to work for it here. And the other thing that really stands out for us, not only hustle, collaboration. They're all working together. They're all rowing in the same direction. From Governor DeWine to Mayor Bibb to the entrepreneurs that we've met. They all have a common mission and they're working together to try to make it happen. And I feel, especially as it relates to Seattle, we're not doing that. And it's so stark, the difference. Yeah. It's sad, but I guess the lesson here is, boy, we have so many great assets in Seattle, so much momentum, so much opportunity. And if we could just get on the same page and stop pointing fingers at one another, what could we all do together? I think that's going to take a lot of work, but boy, they are doing it here in Cleveland and in Northeast Ohio in a big way. And you can't walk away from here, Charles, and not think that a place like Cleveland is going to eat Seattle's lunch.
Yep. I mean, they are hustling, and the level of investment and focus at the state level, at the city level, they are going after the next generation of jobs, and they've got a bunch of great assets. And that civic collaboration, that civic partnership, you know, Seattle maybe had that a couple of decades ago, but the idea that you have the politicians, the government, the
nonprofits,
the nonprofits, and there are a bunch,
educational institutions,
everybody's aligned and working together.
And what they're aligned on, and this comes in contrast to Seattle as well. What they're aligned on is jobs in the economy. Like, it's jobs. They want business. They want the facility we're standing in. This is going to be redeveloped into a potential future manufacturing hub. Might not employ as many as Westinghouse did when they were making light bulbs here, but even if they get 50 or 75 or 100 jobs back to a site like this, they are investing in that big time.